Heroin is manufactured from morphine, which is manufactured from opium. Opium is a dried form of a juice extracted from the seed pods of the poppy plant. Heroin penetrates the blood-brain barrier faster than morphine, but once inside the brain produces the same effect. Heroin can be taken by injection. This is referred to as shooting up. It can also be taken by sniffing or inhaling the heated vapours, chasing the dragon. Chasing the dragon means heating a small amount of heroin powder on a piece of metal foil until it melts and begins to evaporate. The heroin molecules are then inhaled through a thin tube. The heroin molecules are then dispersed through the lungs via the windpipe and its smaller branches and air sacs. The heroin is then easily absorbed into the bloodstream through the alveoli of the lungs. When chasing the dragon, the user inhales and exhales several times, causing the heroin molecules to enter in repeated waves. The blood containing heroin molecules then flows back towards the heart. The blood is then pumped around the rest of the body from the heart via the aorta. Part of this blood is carried to the brain, where it diffuses through the branches of the blood vessels. Chasing the dragon is the fastest method taking heroin, with results appearing within 7 to 10 seconds. The effects when injecting heroin usually become apparent between 15 and 30 seconds, while sniffing takes up to 3 minutes. Heroin molecules easily penetrate the blood vessel wall. Heroin passes through much easier than morphine, but once inside, quickly converts into morphine, which then exerts its psychoactive effects on the brain. The morphine, which has been broken down from the heroin, now stimulates the brain's reward centre, creating a pleasurable sensation. High doses can create an extreme sense of euphoria. Morphine suppresses the activity of the brain's breathing centre, stimulates the vomiting centre, constricts the eye pupils, and interferes with intestinal functions. If you cut your finger, a pain impulse is automatically sent to your brain. Heroin, however, affects this pain impulse and can also disrupt the cough impulse, resulting in lung infections. Blood containing heroin or morphine molecules then travels to the heart, where it is sent to the lungs to receive more oxygen. Part of the blood containing heroin and morphine molecules then travels to the liver via the hepatic artery. Once in the liver, enzymes break down the heroin and morphine molecules very swiftly into metabolites. The blood containing heroin molecules and metabolites then returns to the heart via the hepatic vein, where it is relayed to the lungs to receive more oxygen, and is then sent around the body via the heart. Part of the blood that leaves the heart enters the kidneys, where it diffuses with the heroin and morphine molecules and metabolites through the branches of the blood vessels. The molecules and metabolites arrive at the filter elements of the kidneys, known as nephrons, where they are eventually discharged from the body via the urinary tract. It takes a total of 8 hours for all of the heroin molecules to leave the body, but it takes 3 to 5 days to get rid of all the morphine and its breakdown products. Heroin can also be injected. Before doing so, it must be dissolved in a liquid. This is done to increase the solubility of the heroin in order to avoid blocked blood vessels, which can trigger heart attacks or a stroke. Heroin is usually injected intravenously into the arm, but it can also be injected intramuscularly into the muscle tissue or subcutaneously, under the skin. The blood flows upward through the arm and transports the heroin molecules to the heart, where it is sent to the lungs and then back to the heart. It is then pumped around the body via the aorta. Part of the blood containing heroin molecules reaches the brain. If it was injected intravenously, then the effects are instant and not a single molecule goes astray. Heroin can also be sniffed or snorted. Users do this by strewing a thin line of heroin powder onto a hard, flat surface and sniffing it using a thin tube. The heroin molecules do not all reach the brain at the same time when sniffing or snorting, so users experience a more gradual effect.